Welcome, everyone, to Clinical Pin. Great to have you with us. Hey, if you like what you hear today, definitely hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts.
And maybe check out clinicalpen.com too.
Absolutely. So, look, it feels like vegetarian and vegan eating is just everywhere now, right? People are cutting back on meat for all sorts of reasons.
Oh, for sure. It's gone way beyond a niche thing. Health, the environment, ethics. It's a major conversation.
Which is great. More options, more awareness.
Yeah.
But I think for anyone actually doing it or thinking seriously about it, you hit this point pretty fast. I know what I'm not eating.
But what do I eat instead? Yeah.
Exactly. How do you make sure it's actually, balanced?
Yeah.
That you're not just missing out on stuff and are properly fueled?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's not just removal. It's thoughtful replacement.
Yeah.
Intentional nourishment.
And that's exactly what we want to explore today. We've been digging into the information out there on how to really thrive, stay balanced on these diets.
Yeah, trying to pull out the really crucial bits. What are the things you really need to know beyond just like eat your veggies?
Okay, so let's get into it. The first big idea, maybe the foundation, seems to be less about specific foods and more about the mindset. It's about making intentional choices.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Because look, you could just ditch meat and dairy and live on, I don't know, chips and vegan cookies, right?
Ah, totally.
But that's obviously not healthy. The whole point is you had to consciously choose nutrient-dense plant foods to fill those gaps. You need a plan.
Right. It's proactive, building your plate up with good stuff, not just leaving empty spaces.
Precisely. Building a diet that's rich, varied, based on whole foods.
Okay, so when we think about building that plate, protein's usually top of mind. Muscles, immunity, it does a lot. Where do we get that power on a plant-based diet?
Well, the key seems to be getting some protein in at every meal.
Yeah.
And there are some real powerhouses. Legumes are huge. Lentils, chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans. Super versatile.
And packed with fiber, too, usually.
Exactly. And then there's soy, of course. Tofu, tempeh, edamame. Those are often mentioned.
Right, and often called complete proteins, yeah.
Meaning they have all those essential amino acids your body can't make, which is pretty handy.
Okay, makes sense. Like a full toolkit in one food.
Sort of, yeah. Though, while many plant foods have some amino acids, getting enough of all 9 sometimes takes a bit more mixing and matching with other sources. Whole grains contribute to quinoa is a famous complete one, but things like buckwheat, oats, brown rice, they all add up.
And nuts and seeds, I throw those on everything.
Perfect. Almonds, chia, hemp, sunflower seeds, they bring protein, and those healthy fats we'll talk about. So yeah, the big message is protein at each meal, and especially if you're fully vegan, vary those sources throughout the day. Don't just rely on one thing.
Got it. Variety is key there.
Okay.
Moving on. Fruits and vegetables seems obvious, but what's the specific angle here? We all know they're good for us.
Sure, but it's how good and why. They're just loaded with vitamins, minerals, fiber, and antioxidants. The whole eat the rainbow idea comes up because those different colors often signal different nutrients are present.
Ah, right. So it's not just for looks on the plate.
Definitely not. Think dark leafy greens like spinach or kale. They're packed with certain vitamins. Then your bright orange things like carrots or sweet potatoes, different vitamins again like vitamin A. Purples and blues like berries, tons of antioxidants.
And things like broccoli and cauliflower.
Yeah, the cruciferous veggies, they have their own unique compounds and lots of fiber. So the point is, don't just eat, say, carrots every day. Mix it up. Aim for at least 5 servings, but really, the more color variety, the wider the net you cast for all those micronutrients.
Okay, that makes sense. Cast a wide net. So protein, produce, now fats. They used to get such a bad rap, but we need the healthy kinds, right?
Oh, absolutely critical. Brain health, making hormones, and really important, helping you actually absorb certain vitamins from all those veggies we just talked about. Vitamins A, D, E, K. They need fat to be absorbed properly.
Okay, so where are the good plant sources? Avocados, I assume.
Prime example, full of good monounsaturated fats. Nuts and seeds pop up again here too, especially things like flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. They get a special mention for omega-3s.
Ah, yes, omega-3s. That often comes up as a tricky one for plant-based eaters because the type in plants isn't quite the same as the type in fish oil, right?
Exactly. Plant omega-3s called ALA need to be converted by your body into the longer chain EPA and DHA, which are what fish provide directly. And that conversion Well, it's not always super efficient for everyone.
So what's the advice? Eat lots of flax and chia.
It's definitely part one. Include those ALA sources regularly. But for people who want to be really sure, or maybe vegans especially, algae-based supplements are suggested. Algae is actually where the fish get their EPA and DHA from in the first place.
Oh, interesting. Going straight to the source.
Pretty much. It
Yeah.
bypasses that conversion issue. So that's a really practical tip if omega-3s are a concern.
Good to know. What about oils? Olive oil.
Yep. Extra virgin olive oil is great monounsaturated fats, antioxidants. Coconut oil gets mentioned too, but usually with a note about moderation because it's higher in saturated fat than, say, olive oil.
Okay. So good fats are plentiful, but maybe pay a little extra attention to getting those omega-3s sorted. Now, this next part feels like where things get maybe a bit more focused. The key nutrients that might need some conscious effort.
Yeah, this is the pay attention list where you might potentially find gaps if you're not careful because historically animal products have been major sources.
And number one on that list, almost always, is vitamin B12. Why is it so vital and such a big deal for vegans?
B12 is crucial for your nerves, making DNA, energy levels, really fundamental stuff. And the catch is reliable, active B12 just isn't found in plant foods. It's made by microbes found in soil and gets concentrated in animal tissues. So for vegans, it's simple. You have to get it elsewhere.
So fortified foods, like plant milks or cereals or nutritional yeast.
Those can contribute, yeah. Nutritional yeast often has it added, but relying only on fortified foods can be a bit hit or miss. You know, the amounts can vary. Maybe you don't eat them every single day.
Right.
So the strong recommendation is usually supplement. For vegans, it's pretty much essential. Some vegetarians might need one too, depending on how much dairy and eggs they eat. It's the most reliable way to guarantee you're getting enough. This isn't really optional.
Okay, crystal clear on B12. Non-negotiable. What about iron? Plants have iron, don't they?
They do, but it's a different type called non-heme iron. The heme iron you find in meat is absorbed more easily by the body, non-heme iron from plants. Its absorption can be blocked or hindered by other things in the food, like phytates found in grains and legumes, or tannins in tea and coffee.
So you might eat enough, but not actually absorb it all?
Kind of, yeah. Or you just need to consume more overall.
Yeah.
Lots of plants are rich in iron: lentils, spinach, tofu, beans, quinoa, pumpkin seeds, lots of things.
Yeah.
But the real key, the practical takeaway, is how you eat them.
How so?
Pair those iron-rich foods with foods high in vitamin C.
Like putting peppers in your lentil soup or having an
That's
orange
right.
with your fortified cereal, squeezing lemon on spinach.
Exactly. That vitamin C dramatically boosts your body's ability to absorb that non-heme iron. It changes it into a more usable form. It's such a simple trick, but makes a huge difference.
That's a fantastic tip. Really actionable. Okay, calcium bones and teeth. If you're not doing dairy, where's that coming from?
Well, fortified plant milks and juices are big ones, very reliable. Some leafy greens are good sources too, but there's a catch. Things like spinach contain compounds called oxalates that actually bind to the calcium, making it harder for you to absorb.
Oh, interesting. So kale or bok choy might be better calcium sources than spinach, even if the numbers look similar.
Potentially, yeah, because they're lower in oxalates. Broccoli is good too. Also, check the label on tofu. If it's made using calcium sulfate as a setting agent, it can be a really significant source of calcium.
Good tip, check the tofu label. And vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin. But what about winter, or just generally?
Yeah, vitamin D works with calcium for bone health, plus it's vital for the immune system. Sunshine helps your body make it, but often it's not enough, especially depending on where you live, time of year, skin pigmentation. Fortified foods help, but supplements are often recommended. And there are vegan options available, usually labeled D2 or algae-derived D3.
Okay, got it. So B12, iron, calcium, vitamin D, those are the big ones to watch. Anything else flagged?
Zinc and iodine get mentioned briefly. Zinc for immunity, wound healing, found in beans, grains, nuts, seeds. Like iron, its absorption can be affected by phytates, so soaking or sprouting grains and beans can help a bit. Iodine is crucial for your thyroid. Iodized salt is the main source for many people. Seaweed has it, but you need to be careful not to get too much from seaweed.
Right, moderation with seaweed. Okay, so those are less common concerns maybe, but still worth knowing about.
It's all part of the bigger picture.
Now, something else that comes up, which might surprise people new to this, just because a label says vegan doesn't automatically mean healthy.
Oh yeah, that's a really important point. The market for vegan convenience foods has exploded. Burgers, cheeses, ice creams, microwave meals, you name it, there's a vegan version.
And some of them are pretty tasty.
They can be, but A lot of them are also highly processed. They might be loaded with sodium, added sugars, maybe less healthy fats, and often lack the fiber and micronutrients you'd get from, say, a homemade bean burger or just whole foods.
So you can basically swap one kind of processed diet for another if you're not careful.
Exactly. The advice is really clear. Build your diet around whole or minimally processed foods. Fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds, those should be your foundation, the processed stuff. Fine occasionally, maybe for convenience, but not the everyday staples.
It really brings us back to that first point, doesn't it? About being intentional, intentionally choosing nourishing whole foods.
It all ties together, yep.
Were there any other sort of practical tips, maybe things beyond just the nutrients?
Yeah, a couple of good reminders. Hydration sounds basic, but getting enough water is really key, especially with potentially higher fiber intake, helps digestion run smoothly. And mindful eating, paying attention to hunger and fullness cues, enjoying your food. It helps prevent overeating and builds a better relationship with food overall.
Simple things, big impact. And finally, what about getting professional help?
It's definitely recommended to consider talking to a registered dietitian or a qualified nutritionist, especially if you're new to this or if you have specific health needs, maybe you're an athlete. Getting personalized advice can be invaluable.
Makes total sense. They can look at your specific situation and help make sure you're covering all the bases, maybe spot things you hadn't thought of.
Takes the guesswork out, gives you confidence.
So, if we boil all this down for everyone listening, what's the main message about making vegetarian or vegan diets work health-wise?
I think it's that, yes, it's totally possible to be incredibly healthy and vibrant on a plant-based diet. But it does take a bit of knowledge and, that word again, intention.
Right.
Focusing on whole foods, knowing where your key nutrients like B12 are coming from, using simple tricks like the vitamin C with iron. Understanding that vegan doesn't automatically equal health food. It's about being informed.
Yeah, it seems like a well-planned plant-based diet isn't just about avoiding things, it's about actively building something really nourishing.
Absolutely. And it's kind of an ongoing process, right? Learning what works for your body, staying curious.
Which maybe leads to a final thought. Whatever way you choose to eat, that curiosity, seeking out good information, and making conscious choices based on that knowledge, that seems to be the real foundation for long-term well-being, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's about informed vitality, not just following rules, building a sustainable way of eating that really serves you.
A great thought to chew on. Thanks so much for walking through this with us.
My pleasure.
And thank you all for listening to Clinical Pen. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next discussion, and you can always find more at clinicalpen.com. We'll talk to you next time.